Hi, I'm Logan Donahoo, a comedian and activist living in Orlando, Florida, and this is Logan Donahoo's Field Guide.
Logan Donahoo's Field Guide.
I have a message for the LGBT community. We got this! We've been here before and we always come out stronger. After the shooting at Pulse Orlando, it didn't feel real. Shock, anger, frustration, a profound sadness. I know I still feel it, and you probably do too. But after I turned off the 24-hour news screaming on my TV, I was amazed at the strong, smart response of our community here in Orlando and around the world. You see, this is what the LGBT community does best: face hatred and tragedy head on, and we've been doing it for generations. For this first episode, we're going to talk about the American LGBT perseverance and the gay liberation movement. Historians say the first big step in modern American LGBT activism was at the Stonewall riots in 1969. Not even 50 years ago, homosexuality was deemed a mental disorder, and serving alcohol to gay people was illegal. New York, LA, New Orleans, cities we now think of as drag capitals of the world, once had what they call anti-masquerading laws that said dressing up as the opposite gender was almost as bad as impersonating a police officer. Gay bars would routinely get raided, and virtually everyone would get rounded up and arrested. Not only that, the next day, local papers would publish the names and addresses of everyone arrested. This ruined lives. One of those bar raids happened on June 28, 1969 in New York at the Stonewall Inn. The LGBT community had gathered there for a little camaraderie in the wake of singer and actress Judy Garland's death, and in came the police, arresting people, again. But something different happened this time. People started resisting. A crowd gathered. People started jeering the police. They threw pennies and pebbles, and eventually, this woman, Ms. Marsha P. Johnson, threw a brick, starting a 3-day riot on the streets of New York City. It was the first time the community stood up, united, and said no more. The next year, they held a parade in honor of the event, and that was the world's first gay pride parade. Our community learned how to be bold and organize quickly because our lives depended on it. A few years later, in stomps Anita Bryant, failed beauty pageant queen, orange juice spokeswoman, gospel record singer, and producer of anti-gay word vomit. She tried making it illegal for gay people to become school teachers or give adopted children loving homes. She made us sound like monsters. You must protect the poor children from them. But she didn't know the pile she was about to step in. We fought back and won. Thankfully, the school teacher ban failed. The adoption ban, though, stayed on the book for decades. Because of people like Anita Bryant, we learned how to play the long game. In the 1980s, the HIV and AIDS pandemic ravaged our community. We immediately organized into service organizations, taking care of people left without families, and going into hospitals where people still were afraid it was airborne. We started groups like the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, who mirrored the work of traditional nuns, but instead stormed bars and bathhouses with ministries of love, laughter, and lessons on how to stay safe with info that was actually both medically accurate and sex positive. In 1987, we started the group ACT UP, which stands for AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power. We staged sit-ins and die-ins at government buildings and pharmaceutical companies, demanding change happens and that people get the life-saving care and treatment they needed as quickly as possible. ACT UP chose the pink triangle as their symbol, a symbol Hitler had gay men wear in concentration camps. But this time we turned the symbol upside down to say that we would never let that sort of genocide happen to our community again. We took that activism through the 80s and 90s and into the 21st century. We paraded, we petitioned, we fundraised. We helped our nation realize that every child deserves an education free of violence and threats, that our military is stronger when our service members aren't in hiding, and that civil marriage is a civil right. Then, in June 2016, we got a wake-up call in the form of a gunman. Someone fed years of anti-gay rhetoric walked into one of our bars and killed 49 people. It was both a gay club and on Latin night, so most of those killed were LGBT and/or people of color. They were our friends. They were our family. The word devastated doesn't begin to cover it. But then our community did what we've always done. We responded with the strength and determination of generations. 5 decades of community service and activism has woken up and is alive once more. Whether it's June 1969 or June 2016, our community knows how to stand back up. This time, people of every walk of life are giving their time and talents. Even our straight friends and allies are joining in, letting us know where they stand. Our food pantries and blood banks are being flooded with support and generosity. People stand in line for hours waiting to give. Sports fans are flying the rainbow flag at their games, not caring what they might look like, proudly carrying the banner for those not here anymore. People of all faiths or no faith are sending thoughts and prayers, but also realizing they need to be the thoughts and prayers made flesh, hope in action. The community of Orlando has joined together to raise over $17 million and counting to help the victims and their families. We're also raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for the displaced staff and performers. The management of competing clubs are working together as if they were all the same bar, giving people work, stage time, and making sure the show always goes on. Mr. Rogers went to college here, right outside Orlando. He once said that when he was a kid, when he would see scary or sad news on the television, his mother always told him to look for the helpers. No matter the tragedy, you can always see people helping. I'm proud to say that today you don't have to look very hard to see the helpers. We're everywhere. We got this. Do you like me? I like me. Go ahead and follow me at logandonahoo.com, or while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to Pipsqueak Collective here on YouTube. Click it! You haven't clicked it yet. You haven't clicked it, so I'm still here. I'm gonna be stuck here for the next 10 minutes if you don't click this. I can do things to fill up the time if you need. I will just fine. What? You're not gonna click it? You got this? What? Click it. Click it. Ow. This is happening.